We are Agustin Lecumberry and Andrés Mackinnon, and we did a paper about the reverse osmosis as a palliative to address water scarcity in the Argentinian North region. At present, drink a glass of fresh water is a luxury for a lot of people around the world. According to the Sustainable Development Goals number 6 from the United Nations, around the world are 765 million of people without access to clean water. Civil engineering has always involved into ways to providing to the people clean water. Also, the civil engineers are involved in projects to provide the water.
Argentina is a country that is rich in rivers and sources of drinking water, but there are some areas in which the access to clean water is very difficult, especially in the north of Argentina. In the poorest zone in the north of the country, one of the principal water sources is groundwater, but is usually contained pollution, bacteria and microorganisms that affect the quality of the water. The principal solution to these problems is the development and infrastructure of like the water treatment and purification plants. But given the Argentinian economic present context, this is very difficult to afford it. For this main reason, the reverse osmosis treatment presented in this presentation as an efficient method to obtain clean water at a low cost because it doesn't have an important investment in infrastructure or maintenance. Providing safe water to the world is one of the grand challenges of the National Academy of Engineering, and this institution motivates engineers to help with this global problem.
The objective of this paper is present the reverse osmosis system for the purification of water and why it is a good palliative to the water scarcity in the north of the country. The presentation have 3 parts. Firstly, the reverse osmosis, when we present the system, the requisites and process, the uses, and the advantages. Second, the problem in the Argentinian North region, where we give a contextual of the problem. And the last, the reverse osmosis as a palliative in the Argentinian region, when we show different systems, different scales, and what is the best. And the end is the conclusion.
Reverse osmosis is a process to purify water used used in most of the desalination plants around the world. This system uses a semi-permeable membrane and pressure to separate solids, bacterial and pollution from the water. Osmosis is a natural phenomenon in which pure water crosses a membrane from the region where lower solutes to a region with higher solute. And reverse osmosis uses pressure to move the water from the region with higher solutes and regions with lower solutes.
The RO system has three parts. A pre-treatment system that removes the inorganic and suspended solids. A high pressure pumps that move the water with pressure into the membranes. The membrane system that filters the pollution and bacteria, and the post-treatment. This system depends on the quality of water that we want. Can be a disinfection or simply modify the pH of the water. Estás muteado, Andrés.
Sí. These are some uses of reverse osmosis. One is groundwater treatment. The groundwater can contain pollution, and reverse osmosis has proved to be a successful technology that can remove this pollution to obtain drinking water. Other is reclamation of wastewater. Wastewater contain organic contaminants, pathogens, and other particulates that are dissolved in the water. The reverse osmosis purify the wastewater with the objective of using this for indirected potable use. Other is obtain high purity for pharmaceutical and microelectronics.
The advantages of the system are that does not use chemical products. For the reason, the maintenance cost for corrosion is lower, uses less energy than a normal system to treat the water, can use alternative energies. This is because it uses less energy. For this reason, they can use a small system of alternative energies. Has a compact and automatic equipment. This permits move it to the region where it is more needed and does not need a lot of workspace. Also, the RO system can remove the inorganic and organic pollution in the same treatment process.
And the north of the country is a dry and a hot region, where it rains less than 800 millimeters annually. Also, the zone is one of the poorest of Argentina. In the provinces of the north, like Salta, Jujuy, Santiago del Estero, people lack of clean water varies between the 7% to 35%, and the sanitation situation is worse than the lack of the the water, which varies between 48% and 86% of the inhabitants of the regions. Apart from the scarcity of clean water and sanitation installation, this region has serious problem connected with access to electricity. The lack of infrastructure and extreme poverty are reasons for the poor quality of the life for the inhabitants. Most of these inhabitants are indigenous people, like witches, and the witches collect rainwater or extracts groundwater using pumps. The problem with this is that the rainwater is sporadic and the groundwater usually contains the pollution. For these reasons, the region needs a system to purify water that has to be simple, economic, and with a low consume of energy.
And now we going to see why is the RO palliative in the region. There are the benefits. They can purify the groundwater and the superficial water sources that can treat the wastewater to the water. This wastewater doesn't contaminate the water sources and can be used to irrigate the crops, saving drinking water for the people. Has a low cost of maintenance. This is important for the economic situation of the region, and because the region does not have big cities around to send the elements to the maintenance. Has a easy installation that permits move it to the place where it's needed and doesn't need a lot of infrastructure for this installation. There are different scales of RO equipment. The individual system, this system is connected to the tap of water of the houses and has a production of 300 liters per day. This production permits to a family have drink water, but not water to sanitization and clean the houses. The home system, the system has a production of 250 to 300 liters per hour, sufficient to give water to all the houses, and need a minor modification to this connection. Only need a tank between the water to treat or the water pipes and the equipment. The industrial system, this system can provide water to an industry or a small village. A custom-made equipment can have a maximal production of 20,000 liters per hour. That is a lot. Then we can see the big treatment plants like the ISA's plant Virrey del Pino in Buenos Aires province. This plant has a production of 47,070 cubic meters per day and provide water to different cities and a lot of people. The industrial system is the best option for the region, and now we will see why we think it. It can be transported by truck to the more needed zone, and the place where the groundwater perforations were made can provide water to a small village. The SNAP, Servicio Nacional de Agua Potable, recommends 200 liters per day per habitant. Using this information, we can do the next count with the productions of a custom-made system of 20,000 liters per hour, working 44 hours. We can this system can provide water to 2,400 inhabitants. That is a small village, or so many very small villages. The transport of the water. The produced water can be deposited in a tank where the inhabitants go to recollect it, can be connected to the water pipes and distributed to the houses of the village, or can be packaged in bags or bottles and distributed to the inhabitants of the village or inhabitants of small, very small different, very small village around the place.
In conclusion, the situation of lack of clean water and poverty present in the Argentinian North region is a big problem that needs an economic and efficient water treatment method. For this reason, a solution of palliative has to be one of the objectives to the present and the future civil engineers. Reverse osmosis is a good system to build in this region due to it is economic, efficient, and low maintenance method that can be used for the water treatment or sexual treatment. In addition, the space required for the system is small compared with the normal desalination plant and can be moved to the region with more necessity. Other benefit is of the reverse osmosis is that the different companies manufacture and sell this system. This is very important because reduce time to maintenance, operative costs, and logistics. This is finally, and thank you for watching this presentation.